Oh, it's fine. I'm editing the audio out afterwards. I'm probably putting like a Hoser song or some shit under this.
Like I want something just like this.
You guys, here's the thing. I love rainy days. Especially when it's my day off, because I don't have to go anywhere, which is a plus because Los Angelans forget how to fucking drive in the rain. It's just a fact of nature. Second, because it means I can sit down, take a break from being an agent of chaos, and eat some fucking pancakes. This week, I decided to take a break from the long books and read 300 pages of gay panic is what I would like to call this. Also titled The Price of Salt, retitled as Carol by Patricia Highsmith. This fucking book is so good. Oh no, I don't have my notes out. I just have pancakes while my MacBook is booting up. My name is Logan and welcome to the Bi Book Boy. If you're new to this channel, I am a chaotic bisexual. I read books. Today we're going back to format and the origin of my thing. We're reading a book called Carol. Let's fucking jump into this, guys. Carol was originally titled The Price of Salt. This was written in 1952 and it is one of my favorite genres of LGBTQ plus book in that this was a romance written before the existence of AIDS, and there's just something very different and otherworldly about queer romances written in that time period. I don't know if it's a form of escapism or if there's just like a different like level of not safety, but it's like a level of mystery around it. I just want to live in a world without sickness, guy. This book was republished in 1982 under the title Carol, and was recently made into a film in 2015 with Cate Blanchett and the girl who was in the American version of The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. I forget what her name is. This is one of the first, like, lesbian romance books out there. I initially picked this up thinking it was solely a lesbian romance because that's what it's been like marketed as. Carol, the title character, who is not the main character, the protagonist, is a bisexual. Oh, you guys, there's just something I love about these earlier queer romances. They're just so, not free, but it's like reading Pride and Prejudice, but then like with people like us involved instead. Not that Mr. Bingley wasn't a fucking bisexual, and we know that, but that's a different story. Brief synopsis, relatively spoiler-free. I love pancakes. This book follows our main character, Therese, who is 20, and she's 21. I think in the beginning of the book, she's 20, but then she says she's 21 at the end of the book, so I think, like, we missed a birthday in there somewhere, or maybe I just read over it. Anyway, Therese is a set designer in New York in the 50s, and she is between theater jobs, so she's working as a clerk at a doll sales counter in a department store around Christmas, and this beautiful, elegant woman in her 30s in this like just opulent fur coat, like the epitome of elegance, walks in and buys a doll for her daughter, and Therese, being overtaken by her beauty and confused by the fact that she has never felt this way for a man before but is now feeling this way for a complete stranger, slips her a note, and thus they have dinner and coffee, and they just continue to start spending time with each other. Thus chaos ensues. We learn that Carol is in the midst of a nasty divorce and custody battle with her husband, and we learn that Therese is in an unhappy relationship with her boyfriend, Richard, who understands that Therese doesn't love him, but kind of wants her just for, like, the social hierarchy of being like, I'm in a relationship and I'm a businessman. We will get into how much I fucking hate Richard. Richard is quite a dick. in the spring, Therese and Carol decide to take a road trip because Therese has never been to California and Carol wants to escape New York for a little bit because of the divorce proceedings. So they get in a car and they go on this cross-country road trip, and immediately, like, romance starts ensuing. Like, this is one of the most beautifully written, most poetic romance novels I've ever written. Just the raw, like, love and infatuation that they have for each other, which are two different things. They get about halfway and they realize they are being followed. And that is when, through like a series of things, we find out that Carol's husband is having them followed by a private investigator because he has learned that Carol is in a lesbian relationship, and if he can get some dirt on her, since lesbianism and homosexuality in general were still a criminal offense in the 50s, he can win sole custody of their daughter. Thus ensues a wonderful road trip, high-speed adventure. This has like Thelma and Louise in the 50s if they were as lesbian as we all knew Thelma and Louise were. It's like an Alfred Hitchcock era with like the mood of the book. This book had me sobbing. General things I want to discuss. There is wonderful exploration of what it means to be bisexual and what the difference is between like being bisexual and being a lesbian trapped in an unhappy heterosexual relationship. And it's wonderfully laid out here in an era before I think the term bisexuality was like commonly used, because this is the 50s, and in the 40s was when homosexuality was like introduced into the English language. Fun fact, the way that homosexuality and bisexuality were created as linguistic terms they were initially listed as mental illnesses in the DSM, the diagnostics something manual for psychologists. I forget what that stands for, but I'm not a psychologist. Also take that with a grain of salt. That I know homosexuality, I think bisexuality was that too, but that might be a lie. So like, you know, I love the meet cute in the department store is so beautiful because it encapsulates that, like, I don't know about you guys, or like any of y'all bisexuals out there, or like queer people, etc. But I know that at least for me, it was very much like this, where like the first time when you like first meet the person that you're like, this is what I'm into, that clicks, that checks out. It's like, it's this level of like, you like want to just breathe the air around them, like you worship everything about them for a hot second. And it's a drama above love, which is why I would title their meet cute and like the initial months leading up to the road trip as infatuation for Therese and Carol, not true love, because it's at a level of drama and like, I don't know, like almost game playing that is very not surface level, but it's not attainable and it's not real, and it's setting a high standard, which I did when I was a very young LGBTQ plus person coming out, and I'm sure everyone goes through that. Anyway, though, I love the way they explored the infatuation there and the difference. I also love Carol as a mother. Carol is the epitome of like just an elegant, wonderful, put together, self-respecting person who would do anything for her daughter, but also doesn't conform to society's views of what a mother should have been then. And I just fucking love that. Also, Carol and Abby's relationship is really, really cool. Abby is Carol's childhood best friend that Therese meets when Carol and Therese are first like flirting and like becoming friends, but haven't actually like acted on it yet. When Carol was first getting divorced, Carol and Abby had a thing, and Abby is the first lesbian lover that Carol has had. They've been best friends forever. It was like a one-time thing. It did not last. Carol knew it wasn't going to last, and now they've settled back into being best friends that understand each other and protect each other. And I think this is a really cool and important representation of the kind of friendships that a lot of queer people have. As, again, not speaking for everybody, but I do have a lot of friends that are like some of my closest friends now that I went on one date with and then like developed like a friendship, and like anything romantic immediately stopped, and there's really no possibility of that ever happening again. But we also are just close and understand each other. And I think that's a really common thing, especially in the gay community, in like, because it's such a small community that, you know, people, and it can be such a wonderful, welcoming community that people tend to stick around. Discussing Richard. Richard is the definition of toxic masculinity. Richard is the definition of a manipulative, fucking nice guy. The kind of man that will date you and give you like dote on you and be like, you're so wonderful and shit. But then when shit gets hard and it's revealed that, say, you don't want to do something with them, or you're not interested in them, or like, you know, you're no longer feeling it, they will start gaslighting you into saying that they are the best you can ever have. They are so nice to you, therefore you owe them something, and just like gross fucking shit like that. Like, this man from the beginning of the book knows that Therese does not love him, yet he will not stop begging for, like, just begging her to sleep with him, which is fucking disgusting because consent. He takes her to meet his family, and the whole time that they're there for Thanksgiving, her family is like measuring her for wedding dresses and shit. When he finds out about Carol, says that this will never last because things like this never do, and Carol's just using her. And then continues to write letters every day, finding out where Carol and Therese are staying on this road trip. I don't know how he did that, if he was somehow involved in like the private investigation or whatever. And these letters are some of the most disgusting things, like constantly like, my feelings for you have not changed, and I know yours for me haven't changed, even though you claim they do. How dare you say that you do not love me? I know that your love for me is real, and your infatuation with this woman is false and something you should be ashamed of. You're going to ruin yourself if you don't marry me. And just like gross things, like the amount of manipulation masked underneath this nice guy that everyone fucking likes, because no one else in the public knows, is infuriating to me, and a very real thing that we don't often see in literature. And I like that it was written in a book in the 50s. Like, this book was so ahead of its time, you guys. The last thing I really want to talk on is the love scenes in this book, because this is a very steamy book. Like, this is, especially for the 50s, we're virgin on some smut here, but there is just something different about women in love scenes written by women. It's the same thing as gay people in love stories written by gay people. There's just a different level of like respect and like elegance and beauty in the writing style, and the way that like Carol and Therese are treated. There's something about the descriptive perspective and power of someone who has lived that experience and can respect it that is a step above just like a straight white guy writing a lesbian scene, because those are often disgustingly objectifying, like really just degrading. The ending of this book was fucking sad, but I'm not going to talk about it too much. I will say though, I enjoy that it was ended, that the last third of this book was almost like an adventure heist. It was almost like a heist book because of the private investigator following them across country. It was riveting. I was on the edge of my seat. I read the last 200 pages of this in like a day. I really enjoyed it. I also like that the end is ambiguous. There isn't really a level of closure. The only real closure I get is that Therese, I think, has an understanding and respect for Carol now, and that Carol at the beginning of the book is like this otherworldly, mature figure who loves both men and women and can like operate on both ends of society and stuff. And Teresa's like, how do you fucking do that? She's so cool and so much older and wiser than me. And at the end of the book, Therese understands the difference between love and infatuation and is able to enter the whatever potential future with Carol, because it's not really defined, honestly, what their future is. She's able to enter that with a mutual understanding and respect and an actual love for Carol. And it's really cool. It's a really cool difference. That was a lot less chaotic, but that's because it's raining outside and I am very zen feeling right now. And I also just woke up. If you enjoyed this video, thanks for sticking around and helping out. Go read Carol, also titled The Price of Salt. Also watch the movie on Netflix. I haven't yet. I'm so fucking excited to watch it. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get my videos whenever I decide to post them. This has been the Buy a Book Boy, and I'm saying bye.